Okay, so let's talk about the top 4 reasons you should overhaul your technology environment. Well, probably the most important reason is disaster recovery. We live in sunny Florida, but we have things like hurricanes. What happens if a giant hurricane comes in and a flood wipes out everything? You need to have a disaster recovery in place. Let's talk about a case study. We have an architect's firm, have about 10 employees, file server. They're doing it right at this particular firm. They have these awesome Xeon Workstations, and everything gets backed up. They have monitoring on their workstations, making sure everything's running good, but most importantly, they keep their important stuff on the server, which is the way it should be. So if any workstation happens to crash at any particular time, nothing's really lost. Everything's on the server. The server is backed up locally for a fast backup regularly, and then every night everything's backed up to the cloud. They could actually have a Category 5 hurricane come run through, rip through the office, everything's gone, but their most important drawings and data every night is going to the cloud. It's safe. Their business is not lost, and all the drawings of all the past years are completely safe. All they would have to do is get a new server, buy some new workstations, and they'd be back in business in a couple weeks. So that's the way it should be done. And it can be done for small businesses too, very simple. Something as simple as Carbonite can take it to the cloud for just a few $100 a year. The second reason you should overhaul your technology environment is stability. Downtime costs money in staffing and productivity. We have a chain of retail stores. A lot of times there's only 2 cash registers in the store, and we live in a volatile area. You know, when we have heavy storms, especially on Sanibel and Captiva, it can easily power surges can take out some of these workstations, even when they're on battery backups. Surges can come from anywhere, through phone lines, through actual power lines, through the credit card machines. Things get fried. It's good to have backup workstations, but that's one thing, having backup workstations, especially when you're in an area like that. But having stability is a big deal, because downtime, you're paying employees when they can't check people out, and you're losing product you could be selling. Security, don't let one angry employee ruin your whole business. You need to have security. If you have a shared drive, like let's go back to the architect firm. If you have a shared drive and all those drawings of past years are free and open to everybody, and there's no backups, and one person comes in and can delete everything, that's a big problem. Because you could have a guy who's been there 6 months, he's unhappy with his pay, he decides he's going to leave, and before he leaves, he goes in and shift deletes everything, no recycle bin, everything's gone. That's a big problem. So that's another reason to have backup, have some security where the new guy can't come in and delete even the people that have been there for years. Sometimes, you just want to have backups, you want to have permissions, you want to have security, really. Performance. Have you ever called notorious when you call 800 numbers and you're talking to people, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, our systems are running slow today. It's just, performance. People don't want to replace their equipment. And have you ever called there and you're just waiting on hold for people's computers to catch up? If your employees are complaining their computers are slow, there's realistic expectations, and then there's, they can't complete their jobs in a reasonable amount of time. Take a walk around your office, and when I worked in corporate, there was people couldn't actually do their jobs sometimes. And, when I worked in IT, we actually had to make a push for upgrades, and sometimes when there was budget cutbacks because of the crash in 2009, we could do little things, we could do memory upgrades, we could do things, because we weren't cycling on the 3-year cycle like we should have been in corporate. So those are other things to think about. Now that our economy's coming back, maybe it's time to get back on track and do some cycling of workstations and get things working a little faster again. Time is money, and if you're paying employees to sit around and wait when they could be actually productive, it could be costing the business money.